Morning all, it is 7 o'clock in the morning on the last Thursday of September 2024. So it's the last day of main harvesting for Common Farm flowers for 2024. For flowers. Obviously there's Christmas coming, but I thought you might like to come along. It's a 700 stem day, 100 stems coming in from my colleague up the road at the Somerset Dahlia farm. So I've got to cut 600 stems by lunch and then do some floristry. And it's very, very autumnal. And the work I thought you'd particularly be interested in is a dinner party and house party full of flowers, which, because it's autumn, will look very, very autumnal. And if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. Press the bell icon and we'll tell you when we've got more clips coming up. And if any of the tips and tricks we give you along the way are useful, you can always buy me a coffee, or better still, join my club, which is where all the real fun happens. I'll see you later. Hello, beautiful. Right, it's really the end of the season. I have a cutting list of 650 stems. My neighbour, the Somerset Dahlia company, is supplying 100. So I only need to cut 650. Actually, I think 651 stems. And the truth is I have very little idea what I've got in the garden. Luckily, I have very forgiving clients who will they trust me to give them very high quality, lovely flowers. So they're not really fussy about what I'm giving them. So we're going to start, and it is also very wet, heavy dew, not frosty, but really soggy. So we're going to start off, and the weather at the moment is clear and dry, but we've had this extraordinary rain coming through, and I suspect we're going to get some more of it later. So while it's dry, I'm going to cut as much as I can, but I'm also going to leave things like the dahlias until they've had a chance to dry off a little bit. If I cut them now, they're very soggy and they're full of water. You know, if I shake them off, they'll bruise. So I'm going to start with the lighter material, what's left in the tunnel, and then I'm going to cut the foliage, and then, with any luck, it'll still be dry weather. Then I'll cut the dahlias last, because I hope they won't be so kind of, they're like sponges, they're just full of water. Right, on we go. Right, starting in the tunnel where it's cool and dry, and there's a little bit not flowering at the pace it used to earlier in the season, but you know, enough. Just about holding on to the sunshine. I'm going to cut some of this lovely Salvia uglinosa. Those of you who know me well know how much I love it. It's good detail. And fresh purple, not dried and black, but I'm going to look, there won't be much, but a bit of fresh purple Verbena bonariensis. Now, one of the loveliest things I have to cut at this time of year is this wild aster. I used to have it in a bed where it used to get mildew very badly, crowd itself out, and compete with its neighbours, and generally be a pain in the you-know-where. So I dug it up and I moved it around, and I have it popping up all around the garden in the wilder areas. It is a wild aster. And right at the end of my season, it is unbelievably useful. I'm kind of designing on the hoof, but you know, it's coming together. When you're cutting dahlias and it's been very wet, give them a bit of a shake before you put them in the bucket. Aren't they lovely? Let's cut them all. And when they're very wet, don't overfill your dahlia buckets. Oh yes, very much worth the wait. I'm being very opportunistic as I go, because it really is very end of season here. Normally I only cut in 50s. If there's not enough to cut 50, I don't bother. But look, oh yes, love a bit of feverfew, nice detail, not going to ignore that. Right, that's 8 of 12 buckets I'm cutting. Fabrizio's gone to get the dahlias from Somerset Dahlias, and I'm stopping for breakfast. Oh, the sun's out and it's lovely, just kind of warm and whoa, that time of year where every glimpse of sunshine you're like, oh, give it to me, give it to me. Stocking up on vitamin D. I'm up here now, and this is all really detail and foliage, but oh, talking of detail, hello friends. I'm still cutting this wonderful Veronicastrum, and look at the lovely shiver of those grasses. Shimmer, shimmer. Shoom. They're like fringes on dresses in Strictly Come Dancing. Okay, put your poetry book away, Georgina. There, I knew the rain was coming, but I'll just have to push on through. It's you won't dissolve. You just might get wet. It's quite wet. I can't really see through my glasses because it's too wet, so I might have to take them off, but then I can't see. You know, that's the job. Right, that's almost cut. The big swathe of orange and autumnal coloured dahlias are from Somerset Dahlias, just arrived. I've got a few bits to cut for Fleur Provocateur for a special order for her big floral installations this weekend. While I'm soaked to the skin, I may as well just keep getting wetter and wetter. So I'm going to cut the rest of it and then I will change my clothes. Occupational hazard, water. Sometimes for the, fancy, luxurious florist, you might need more important, sort of heavier tools. Don't be afraid. I'm having a mad morning. Good thing is I've done 8,000 steps so far and it's only 11 o'clock. Never mind. Right, I've put the dishwasher on. All the vases and jars for the weekend house party job are going through the dishwasher, so they're all shiny and nice. I'm going to call it a day and not cut 18 stems of hornbeam 6 foot long until this rain stops, because I'm fed up with the rain. One of the reasons one calls time on one's flower farming activities at the end of September. I have cut most of Caroline's foliage though, so that's great. So I'm going to start by doing a couple of big presentation bouquets that have been ordered, and by then the vases should be finished with the dishwasher, and then I can start doing the party. Right, those 2 bouquets are ready for collection by the client. Mustn't forget the care cards. Right, as I suspected would happen, complete change of clothes. It's been very wet, but the hornbeam, the big branches of hornbeam have been cut. I kind of gave up and I just got completely soaked to the skin. And the big branches of hornbeam are lying on the grass. They're not in water. I have every faith that it will keep raining on them. Every now and again, there's sort of squalls of rain are coming over and sort of totally drowning everything. And then you get a little bright sunshine. You're like, oh, look, it's normal. And then it happens again. Anyway, I'm going to make the table centers. So it's 3 table centers, 14 posies to be distributed around the house. My client, it's really a great way of bringing a weekend together. So the house is, it's a big country house, and the interior is very beautiful, sort of dove grey all the way through. It kind of variations on a theme, and which makes it great to be a florist, because my client, she's, often during the winter it's mostly white flowers, but today it's autumnal look. And so I'm going to do 3 table centers to go in this beautiful grey dining room. You've got to be careful with table centers that they're not taller than your elbow to your fist. But these jars are brilliant. £2, Morrison's. For those of you not in the UK, Morrison's is a very good value supermarket. And occasionally all supermarkets reveal themselves, have really excellent taste. This is a really lovely vase and £2 is really good value. So excellent, well done. So these are my vases. It's possible that my client will take her posies out of these vases and put them into other vases of her own, which is entirely her prerogative. But for me, for the purposes of delivering, these are very attractive. And if she chooses to keep the posies in these vases, they will work well. So that's good. So I'm going to make these 3 table centers and I'll show you when I've finished. It's raining quite hard. And there we have 3 very nice table centers that I set myself. They're not supposed to look as though they're leaning out like that. Funny camera. Anyway, be sparing, I'd say, in life with your cafe au lait dahlias. But, you know, every now and again, they do very well in a mix. I could do it all again with the cinematic version on, just so you get... I mean, it is, you know, dahlias are really amazing. It's always at the end of the season that you really think, God, they're just incredible. I love them with a sort of really quite emotional response to these incredible flowers and how hard they've worked. Some of these are mine, and some of these are from my lovely friend Natalie at the Somerset Dahlias. There you are, 3 table centers. I think, you know, même si je le dis moi-même, they are not unattractive. And they can turn around. Ooh. Turn around. Whichever way you look at them, they have a bit of a shimmy. They're singing a good song. I think that's the thing with flowers. Just, you know, make sure that they can sing, that you liberate them so that the singing can happen. I see you all unsubscribing because I'm clearly barking mad. I like the app. Look, little details. Crab apples. And I do love these little asters. Wild asters. This is my favourite one. Right, it's 7 o'clock the next morning. I'm so lucky that I work at home. I can fall out of bed, throw my clothes on, barely clean my teeth, and be up the field and at work in 5 minutes. It is a thing for which I'm very grateful. 7 o'clock the next morning, and I'm going to make 14 little posies to be dotted around the house to go with the big ones, which are up there. And I'm not going to show you how I'm doing them because I've actually got quite a lot to do in a short period of time. It's classic how I work. I spend my time thinking about how much time I've got to do stuff and then saying, well, then I can do it in the 2 hours tomorrow morning and get them done by 9, because then they can be delivered before lunch. But meanwhile, the other client can come and collect their DIY party flowers. They're doing a ball over in Somerton. And so some of these are going to go for the ball, and then I've got to do something for Number One Bruton and pop over to Bruton and see another potential client there. And then it's the end of the month. So I have to get my end of the month admin done before the end of the day. And you know, when your bookkeeper sends you a list of queries at the end of August that you haven't, and then says, but I'm going on holiday, so don't hurry. Yeah, well, we're now the end of September and I've got to answer those queries, and I've got to do, anyway, it's one of those days. So I'm just going to make these posies, and if you want to see me making posies, do scroll back through the other videos where I make posies frequently, but equally do remember that I have a huge amount of demos and workshops where you see stem by stem, detail by detail, how I do everything. And they are slowly being added to 2025. So do have a look at the website and see if there's something that tickles your fancy. Remember, club members get 10% off, which I think is well worth it, actually, because people tend to do several. Anyway, enough of this rambling. I better get on. Right, there they all are. 14 posies. Oh, look at that. Aren't they gorgeous? I never think that I'm really a florist. I'm more a facilitator. The flowers are great, and I just get them together and put them in a vase together, and they do all the singing. Nothing to do with me. Anyway, there they all are. So I could have had half an hour extra in bed. Actually, I could have had an hour extra in bed because the people collecting the flowers for the ball are not coming for another hour. But hey, at least I can tidy up and get organised now. So obviously, florists work really early. We like to get done. We're always concerned until the job is done that it's going to take longer than we think. And so I'm not the only one to have started early, but Antonia from Fleur Provocateur, I went back to the house to get more, refill the coffee cup. Came back to find Antonia filling the van. I forgot to film it. Filling the van with all her foliage for their event this weekend at about 7:30. So we'll all be done. About 3 o'clock this afternoon, we'll all be getting together. No, we won't. Fleur Provocateur pushing on through the weekend. Anyway, there we are. Those are the posies, and on to get the buckets ready for collection. It looks much better when I film it close up. I love this sort of side light coming in at this time of the morning. I think it's going to be interesting filming in here in the winter. Anyway, that's good for the moment. That's going for Number One Bruton. Right, we're 9:15 after a 7 o'clock start. The buckets are ready for collecting for the ball. The ball is called the Sustainable in Somerton, and they're raising money, I think, for the young people in the town, for the youth club, and I think a skate park in there. Anyway, they do it every year. So the Sustainable in Somerton in Somerset are having these. My lovely client is having all of these for her house for the weekend and for a big dinner. And that's for Number One Bruton over there, between the the plugs. And that's the last big flower harvest of the year. Crates are ready to put the flowers in. It's the last big, they go in crates, look. I can hear you say, what crates? Those are how we transport them. So that's the last big harvest of the year, 2024. Flower harvesting, we're done. And now we kind of, like the Titanic trying to turn away from the iceberg. Not a very good analogy, but you get my drift. We're now going to slowly turn around. And Christmas, it is the 27th of September, and here's my client. Right, that's it. So they're raising money for the youth club in the Charlton villages, Charlton Mackerel and Charlton Adam. Somerset's very community-minded, very good, excellent. And apparently it's really a fantastic event. So good for the ball, the Sustainable, and then these are going off to my client in that direction. That is going up to Bruton. But first I'm going to have some breakfast. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you all very soon.